He shouldn't have stayed the night. I shouldn't have let him. But temptation has a way of dressing up in comfort. In old denim, faded hoodies, and the scent of memories you thought you'd outgrown. His name is Ethan now. He's 27. And he wasn't supposed to be standing in my doorway. Not with that tired duffel bag over his shoulder, not with that guilty half-smile I knew too well, and definitely not engaged to my sister. The hallway light framed him like a ghost from a life I thought I'd buried. "Ava and I got into it again," he mumbled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Mind if I crash here for the night?" I should have said no. Should have reminded him that I'm not a second option. Not a safe place when things fall apart somewhere else. But I stepped aside anyway. "Of course," I whispered, swallowing the knot rising in my throat. Ethan had always had that effect, making you feel like you were the only person in the room, even when the room was spinning because of him. We didn't say much, just a saw from the TV in the background and the sound of ceramic mugs clinking as I poured him the same cheap tea he once claimed to love. "Thanks," he said softly. "You always get me." I didn't. Not really. But I loved when he said that. Like I mattered more than the silence sitting between us. He moved around the room like he'd never left. Kicked off his shoes. Sat on my bed like it still belonged to him. Like Ava wasn't at home waiting for a call. Like I hadn't spent months trying to forget the way his voice once made me feel safe. "Remember those nights we'd stay up watching dumb movies till sunrise?" he asked, his eyes lost in the ceiling. I remembered everything, especially the way he used to fall asleep mid-sentence, mouth open, arm draped over blanket like it belonged around me. But I just smiled and nodded. Yeah. Tonight, there were no movies, just silence, and the weight of all the things we never said. He lay on the far side of the bed. I faced the wall. The space between us was thick with memory. Minutes passed, maybe hours. The room was still, except for his breathing. Then I felt it, a shift in the mattress, a hand brushing lightly against my hip, tentative, trembling. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe memory was playing tricks on me. But then it came again, firmer this time, his hand at my waist, fingers shaking. "Ethan," I whispered. No answer. Just his breath now at the back of my neck, shallow, uneven, heavy with something unnamed. I turned just slightly, enough to see the edge of his face in the dim light, seeping through the blinds. His eyes were wide open. "I shouldn't be doing this," he breathed. But he didn't stop. My mind spun. This was Ethan, my best friend, my sister's fiancé. And yet, my body didn't pull away. My heart didn't scream for logic. It ached with something far more dangerous. Hope. His hand slid gently around my stomach. His forehead rested at the back of my head. I was burning, not from fear, but from a confusion of being seen again after so long. "What are you doing?" I asked, barely a breath. Still no answer, only the tightening of his arms, as if he wanted to remember how this felt. How I felt. I closed my eyes, and I remembered the way he once said, I made him feel safe. How? During one drunken summer night, he whispered, "You're the only one who ever really sees me." Now here he was again, not speaking, not apologizing, just being there, pressed against me like a confession too heavy to speak. And I didn't know what this moment meant. A mistake? A slip? Or something we'd both been silently chasing for far too long. My fingers curled gently around his hand, slowly, almost instinctively, and still I said nothing. We stayed like that, caught between sleep and something far more dangerous. The room was quiet, yet screaming with everything we couldn't say out loud. Outside, the night crept on. Inside, something had already shifted. Something fragile had cracked. And deep down, I knew, when morning came, it would all fall apart. What he did, and how I let him. They say when someone crosses a line once, it's a mistake. But if you let them do it again, it becomes a story. And that night, I let Ethan start writing a chapter we were never meant to live. The silence wasn't soft anymore. It buzzed, charged with something that felt too much and not enough all at once. His hand still rested around my waist, warm, unsure, but not letting go. And neither did I. I could feel his chest rising and falling against my back, steady, cautious, like he was still deciding if any of this was real, or if he'd pretend it never happened once the sun came up. "Ethan," I whispered again. He didn't reply, but he nodded just once, his chin brushing gently against my hair. Then, movement. His lips grazed the curve of my shoulder, so light I wasn't sure if it even happened. Then again, slower this time. A kiss that felt like an apology, and not one at all. My breath caught. I dreamed of this moment 1,000 forbidden ways. But dreams don't carry guilt. Dreams don't wear someone else's ring. Still, I didn't move. His hand slid gently beneath the hem of my t-shirt. The touch wasn't urgent. It wasn't forceful. It was cautious, like he didn't want to wake the truth. "I don't know what's wrong with me," he whispered, voice shaking. You always make me feel." He didn't finish. Maybe he couldn't. Because how do you explain crossing 1,000 lines for the one person you swore was just a friend? I turned toward him. Finally, our faces just inches apart in the shadows. I couldn't see his eyes, but I felt them searching, trembling, alive. We didn't kiss. Not yet. He leaned in, forehead resting against mine, fingers tangling softly with mine. "I'm tired of pretending," he murmured. "Tired of feeling wrong for needing this." My voice broke. "You're with Ava." "I know," he breathed. "But when I'm with her, it's like I'm trying to be who I'm supposed to be. With you, I just am." And the worst part? I believed him. Because he didn't say it like a lie. He said it like a confession. And in that moment, wrapped in betrayal, confusion, and aching truth, I stopped searching for reasons to pull away. His lips met mine, softly, cautiously, as if asking permission with every breath. I kissed him back. Once, then again, longer. He moved slowly, as if every touch mattered, as if every inch of me was something sacred. My hand pressed against his chest, feeling the rhythm of a man at war with himself. This wasn't just about want. It was about need, about ache, about the quiet devastation of loving someone you were never supposed to hold. The room seemed to hold its breath as we got closer, not just physically, but emotionally. No names, no moans, just silence, just a whisper of skin against skin and hearts that didn't know where else to belong. Through it all, Ethan never let go of my hand. Not once. Like if he did, the moment would vanish or the illusion would break. And maybe it did, because afterward, he didn't say a word. He just lay there beside me, staring at the same ceiling we once taped glow-in-the-dark stars to, back when we were just kids and the world felt so simple. Now, it felt like the sky itself was cracking open above us. Falling in, I looked at him, waiting for something. Anything. An apology. A reason. Even a lie. But he stayed silent. One hand tucked behind his head, breathing easy, as if the world hadn't just cracked open between us. I turned away, and then it hit me, cold, heavy, all at once. What had we done? My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message from Ava. "Did Ethan end up staying at your place? Hope you talk some sense into each other. I miss him." I didn't reply. Instead, I slid the phone under my pillow and shut my eyes. Ethan was still there, still warm, still close, but I'd never felt further from anything good. I used to believe love and betrayal couldn't exist in the same breath, but now I know. Sometimes they begin in the same room. Morning came, and he acted like nothing happened. They say daylight reveals the truth, but that morning, it felt colder than I could have ever expected. I woke the birds outside the window, sunlight slipping over the sheets still tangled with memory. For a moment, I forgot. For a second, I reached out, half asleep, expecting warmth, presence, something. But the bed was empty. Ethan was already up, pacing, hoodie on, phone in one hand, brushing his hair with the other. Like it was just another morning. Like nothing had happened. Like we hadn't crossed a line that neither of us could ever uncross. "Morning," he said casual. "Didn't mean to wake you. I've got to head out. Ava wants to meet for breakfast." Ava. Her name hit like a spark in a room full of gasoline. I sat up slowly, blanket clutched around me. "So, we're not to talk about it?" Ethan froze, just for a second, long enough for the air to tighten. Then he chuckled, actually chuckled. "We were tired," he said, brushing it off. "Drunk on memories, or whatever. Don't overthink it, man. Don't." My voice cracked, more from disbelief than anger. "You kissed me. You held me. You said you didn't want to pretend anymore." He shrugged, like I was talking about a dream he didn't remember. Weird night. I wasn't myself. "But you were," I said, "standing now. You were more yourself than you've ever been with me." His lips tightened. For a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd say something real, but he didn't. He grabbed his bag, pulled on his cap. "Let's just not make a thing. Please. For Ava. For us. Us. What even was that now? You don't get to ask me to carry your secrets," I said, quieter now, "and then walk away like nothing happened." He paused at the door, back still turned. "You've always had my back, Eli. You're good at that." And just like that, he left me standing in the same room where the truth had whispered itself into my skin only hours earlier. I collapsed onto the bed, the sheets still warm, still carrying his scent, that mix of cologne and regret. They smelled like everything I'd ever wanted, and everything I should never have had. I stared up at the ceiling, that same spot we used to aim paper airplanes at when we were boys. The ceiling hadn't changed, but everything else had. My phone buzzed again. "Ava, thanks for watching over him. I think we're going to be okay." I wanted to scream, to tell her she didn't know him. Not really. That the man she missed had slipped into something far deeper than just my bed. But I didn't, because how do you confess a betrayal that wasn't just yours? So I left her on read, just like I now felt. Read, used, forgotten. The whole day felt surreal, like I was wearing someone else's skin. I avoided every mirror. I didn't want to see the look in my own eyes. That night, I changed the sheets, not because they were dirty, but because they remembered too much. And yet, I kept the shirt he wore, folded it, tucked it away, as if maybe, somehow, it could explain the mess he left behind. A week later, he texted me, "Ethan, hope you're good. Let's not talk about last week again, okay? I don't want things to be weird." Weird? They weren't weird. They were tragic. They were something rare, something real, crushed by someone too afraid to name what they felt. I never replied, because sometimes silence is the only dignity you have left. And now, when people talk about Ethan and Ava's engagement, about how perfect they are, how lucky she is, I just smile, because the truth has no place in the stories people want to believe. But I know what happened. I know how it felt when his hands trembled against my skin. I know what he did, and how I let him, and I know that sometimes the deepest betrayals don't leave scars you can see. They just leave you wide awake in the dark, still waiting for someone who swore the morning would make it all go away.